Here's a question for you. Have you ever really stopped to think about tax management? I know it sounds maybe a bit dry, but what if I told you it's a global market that's
I felt,
it's absolutely exploding right now? Today, that's exactly what we're diving into, the global tax management market. Our mission, as always, is to pull out the really key insights, the size, the trends, the future forecasts using some great source material we have from cognitive market research. Honestly, when I first saw the numbers, I was pretty surprised. Okay, let's unpack this. The scale is just wow. We're talking $12.51 billion back in 2021.
yeah.
And it's not just growing steadily, it's projected to hit $20.26 billion by 2025. And then, get this, surge all the way to $53.102 billion by 2033. That's compound annual growth rate, a CAGR of 12.8%. That's consistently strong growth. What on earth is driving that?
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? And it's not just, slow and steady wins the race here. This is really about a convergence of some pretty powerful forces. You've got increasing regulatory complexity, just rules everywhere getting more complicated. Then there's this massive global shift towards digital tax systems. Governments are moving away from paper big time. And crucially, you see cloud-based solutions just being adopted everywhere across all sorts of industries. These aren't just nudging the market, they're fundamentally reshaping how businesses even think about tax.
That makes sense. A triple whammy, almost. So, can we dig into those drivers a bit more? Like, what does regulatory complexity actually feel like for a business on the ground? And how are these digital tax systems changing the day to day?
Exactly. So regulatory complexity.
Yeah.
Imagine you're a multinational company. You're not just dealing with, say, U.S. tax law. You've got VAT changes in Europe, maybe one quarter. Then boom, new transfer pricing rules pop up in Asia the next. Trying to track all that manually, it's becoming almost impossible. So that naturally pushes them toward software, towards these automated solutions. And the digital tax systems piece. This isn't just about, emailing a PDF instead of mailing paper. We're talking real-time reporting. Governments increasingly want transactional data almost instantly. Think about e-invoicing. It's not just a bill, it's structured data that tax authorities can check on the fly.
Right. Reduces fraud, speeds up audits, I imagine.
Precisely. And every time a government mandates something like that, it forces companies to upgrade their systems. And the cloud ties it all together. It gives companies the power to automate, scale up or down, and integrate tax functions in ways they just couldn't before. It's really changing tax compliance from a back-office chore to something much more dynamic and integrated.
So the old ways of doing things, spreadsheets and manual checks, they're just not cutting it anymore. Okay, let's look at the map then. Because these trends must be playing out differently across the globe. North America first, always a major player,
It's
right?
definitely a key region. The revenue there was about $2.378 billion in 2021.
And the forecast.
That's set to grow substantially, hitting $3.779 billion by 2025, and then projected to reach $9.676 billion by 2033.
Wow, so more than quadrupling. What's the CAGR there?
The very healthy 12.5%.
And inside North America, is it all the U.S.?
Well, the U.S. is the lion's share, no doubt, growing from $1.8 billion in 2021 to a projected $7 billion plus by 2033, around a 12.3% CAGR. But interestingly, Canada's actually growing a bit faster, 13.5% CAGR. And Mexico's strong too at 12%.
So it's a broad trend across the continent. Okay, let's hop across the pond to Europe. Similar story, or are there different dynamics?
Similar drivers, but maybe with a slightly different flavor. Europe started at around $2 billion in 2021, and it's expected to climb past $8.2 billion by 2033. There's a 12.6% CAGR, so right in line with North America.
What's pushing it there? EU directives.
That's a huge part of it, yes. The EU-wide push for digital tax administration, things like harmonizing VAT reporting digitally. The UK is particularly interesting. It's showing really strong growth, a 13.8% CAGR.
Maybe managing post-Brexit complexities?
That's likely a factor, yes. New trade rules, new tax interfaces. Germany and France are also big contributors, both growing steadily over 12%. And you see solid growth in Italy, Spain, Sweden too, even if maybe a touch slower.
Right.
Widespread.
Okay, now, Asia Pacific, you flagged this one earlier. This is where it gets really interesting, you said. The dominant region.
Absolutely. The scale here is just massive. It started at over $5.6 billion back in 2021.
Which was already the largest region then.
Exactly. And the forecast. It's expected to hit almost $23.1 billion by 2033.
Whoa.
Yeah. Maintaining a 12.4% CAGR on that huge base.
What makes APAC such a powerhouse here?
It's a combination of factors. Rapid economic growth, obviously, but also a huge push towards formalizing economies and improving tax collection efficiency through digitalization.
Yeah.
China's the biggest piece of the pie, going from roughly $2.2 billion to over $9.1 billion.
Okay.
But check this out. India, Its growth rate is actually faster than China's at 13.4% CAGR. It's projected to go from about $740 million to over $3.4 billion. That shows really dynamic adoption.
So rapid digitalization meeting a government push for compliance.
You got it. And then you have other major players like Japan, South Korea, Australia, all expected to cross the billion-dollar mark in revenue too. It's just a huge dynamic region for this market.
Incredible numbers. Okay, let's shift gears to South America. Gaining traction, you mentioned.
Yes, definitely gaining traction, starting from a smaller base, around $826 million in 2021.
Right.
But it's projected to grow significantly to over $3.1 billion by 2033. That's holding a solid 12% CAGR.
Who's leading the charge there?
Brazil is the clear leader. Often you find very complex domestic tax systems in South America, which drives demand for these solutions. Plus, there's that same push for digital efficiency we see elsewhere. Argentina, Colombia, Chile are also adopting these tools pretty quickly.
Right, modernizing the infrastructure. What about the Middle East? You flagged strong growth there, too.
Very strong growth, a CAGR of 13.4%.
Higher than North America or Europe?
Yep. Growing from about $838 million in 2021 to a forecast of nearly $3.8 billion by 2033.
What's unique there? Oil money, diversifying, national plans.
Exactly. Think about national development plans like Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. They heavily emphasize economic diversification, digitalization, attracting foreign investment, all of which require modern, efficient tax systems. So Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, they're leading the growth, all with key jars over 13%. They're really investing in this area.
Okay, that leaves one major region, and you saved the most surprising for last, perhaps, Africa, the fastest growing region.
By a significant margin, yes. This one is really eye-opening.
Go on. The numbers must be pretty dramatic.
They are. It started the smallest, just $813 million in 2021. But the forecast is for it to reach over $5 billion, $5.053 billion by 2033.
Wow, from under $1 billion to over $5 billion. What's the CGR on that?
A staggering 16.1%, the highest globally.
That's incredible. What explains that kind of explosive growth? Are they just catching up, or is something else going on?
It seems to be more than just catch-up. There's this idea of leapfrogging. Many African nations might be bypassing older legacy systems entirely and jumping straight to the latest cloud-based digital-first solutions.
Ah, so no baggage from old infrastructure.
Potentially, yes. This could make their tax management incredibly agile. They might even set new benchmarks for digital compliance. Plus, there's often a strong government push for transparency, formalizing the economy, and boosting tax revenue.
Which countries are leading this?
Nigeria is showing a 16% CAGR, South Africa around 15.8%. But get this, the rest of Africa category.
Yeah.
That's growing even faster collectively at 17.1%. It suggests really broad-based adoption across the continent.
Truly remarkable. So let's zoom back out. We've toured the globe, seen these incredible growth figures everywhere, especially in Africa. If you connect all these dots, what's the big picture message? What does this tell us about where tax management is headed globally?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, what it really screams is that tax management is fundamentally changing its role. It's moving away from just being a cost center or a compliance headache. It's rapidly becoming a strategic function.
Strategic? How so?
Companies that get digital tax compliance right, they gain a real competitive edge. It's not just about avoiding fines anymore. It's about optimizing cash flow globally, making better decisions about where to invest or expand, having real-time visibility. So we're not just talking about more software being sold. It's a genuine redefinition of the tax function, powered by these automated, sophisticated tools happening worldwide.
That shift from, like you said, a necessary evil to a strategic asset.
Yeah.
That feels really significant. So thinking about this from the listener's perspective, for you listening, how could this boom impact things you see, maybe the businesses you work with or own, or even, future jobs? What skills might be needed as tax gets this high tech? It feels deeply connected to everything now. We've really covered a lot of ground, this whole transformative journey of the tax management market, its surprising size, that rapid growth, all those fascinating regional differences driven by complexity, digital shifts, and the cloud.
Yeah, and it really raises an important question, doesn't it, with this rapid automation and sophistication? How is that going to influence not just business strategy, but how governments themselves approach taxation in the future? It definitely signals that digital compliance isn't going to be optional. It's becoming the absolute baseline.
Absolutely. So the final thought maybe for you to ponder is, As our economies get more tangled up globally, more digital, what does this explosion in tax tech mean for other areas? Like innovation, will we see more AI, more blockchain managing taxes? What about data privacy with all this real-time info flowing to governments? And fundamentally, what does this relentless drive towards automated, complex tax management mean for global economic policy itself? Lots to chew on there. Welcome to the deep dive, where we try to cut through the noise and get you really well informed. Today, we're asking, well, a pretty big question. Is the era of tax headaches truly over for businesses? Or are they just swapping one set of problems for another as they dive headfirst into digital tax management? We're doing a deep dive into something that, okay, might sound a bit niche, the tax management market. But trust us, it's incredibly dynamic, evolving super fast, and really important for today's global economy. We've been looking at some great sources, particularly insights from cognitive market research on this. So our mission today is to unpack the forces driving this market, the unexpected challenges too, and the exciting trends shaping what's next. Think of this as your shortcut to understanding a crucial, maybe often overlooked part of modern business. It touches everything, really.
Absolutely. And that why it matters part, that's key for you, our listener. Understanding these shifts isn't just for, the CFO or the tax pros. It's about whether your business, big or small, can adapt quickly, can avoid those costly penalties, unlock new ways to grow, stay agile. It's happening in a world that's getting more regulated all the time. These changes really ripple outwards.
Okay, so given that impact, let's unpack this. Let's jump into the main things fueling this rapid change in tax management. The first one, and maybe the most obvious, is just the growing complexity. Global tax rules, compliance stuff. For companies working internationally, it's not just filing in one place. It's like a maze navigating all these cross-border rules, constant changes, new digital tax systems popping up. It gets so intricate that these advanced tax management tools become, well, essential, not just nice to have.
Indispensable, yeah. And the need for them, it really boils down to accuracy, first off. Then maintaining what we call audit readiness. Basically having everything lined up, documented, ready for scrutiny. And of course, staying compliant across maybe dozens of different places. What's really fascinating here is just how fast these rules are changing. It's not static at all. You need agile solutions to keep up.
Right, changing fast. And it's not just the rules, but how governments expect compliance. Which brings us to the second big driver. This shift towards digital tax filing, real-time reporting. Governments everywhere aren't just suggesting digital anymore, they're mandating it.
Right.
Things like e-invoicing, electronic VAT submissions, real-time tracking, it's becoming standard practice.
Exactly. And those mandates,
Yeah.
they directly fuel the demand for software that can automate that. We're seeing a huge push for tools that handle tax calculations automatically, submit forms directly, even pull in regulatory updates instantly. It's not just convenience anymore. It's about enabling businesses to comply at the speed governments are now demanding.
And beyond just ticking the compliance boxes, businesses are also seeing the real cost and time savings. Through automation, through these centralized tax platforms, it's becoming a clear competitive edge.
Oh, definitely. I mean, just imagine managing corporate tax across, say, 20 EU countries manually.
Yeah.
The paperwork, the deadlines, the constant changes. Nightmare. Automated systems, they slash those manual entry errors, which can be super costly, by the way. They speed things up. And maybe most importantly, they give much clearer financial visibility across the whole organization. For the big companies, these centralized platforms are a total game changer. They help manage all the different tax types, corporate, payroll, VAT, GST, you name it. Streamlines the whole thing, really. From planning right through to filing and checking it all matches up. It's about that holistic view in real time.
Okay, so lots driving it forward, but it's not all, smooth sailing. There are some pretty big hurdles that could slow things down. Here's where it gets interesting. The main restraint, according to our sources, is the sheer cost of implementation and the challenge of getting new software to work with older systems. Companies often face really big upfront costs, not just software licenses or hardware, but also change management, IT upgrades, and training people. That's huge.
Yeah, and that integration part, that can be incredibly complex and time-consuming. Getting these new modern solutions to talk to existing ERP systems or older accounting software that's maybe deeply embedded, it's a massive job. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, that cost and complexity, it's a major barrier for a lot of companies, especially those stuck with older tech.
Then you've got the whole data privacy and cybersecurity angle, especially with cloud platforms becoming more common for tax stuff. When you move sensitive financial data to the cloud naturally, worries about breaches, unauthorized access, data residency laws, they all get amplified, right?
It's a critical issue, a real dilemma.
Yeah.
You're managing incredibly sensitive data. You absolutely have to ensure top-notch security end-to-end while also navigating this like patchwork quilt of international privacy rules, constantly changing rules too. So it raises this important question: how do you balance the efficiency you get from the cloud with the non-negotiable need for security and compliance? It's a real tightrope walk.
Okay, and one final point on the hurdles. Limited expertise,
Yeah.
especially in small and medium-sized businesses, SMEs, and also just not using the tools properly. Many SMEs just don't have dedicated tax experts in-house, or the IT folks needed to really get the most out of these advanced solutions.
Right. And the result? Often they end up underusing the software they bought. They don't unlock all the features, the full potential, or they become really reliant on external consultants to fill that knowledge gap. Either way, it makes it tough for them to get the full value from these digital tax platforms, which is ironic because often these tools are designed to help them compete better.
So, okay, we have the drivers, we have the hurdles. Where does this all leave us? What's next? Despite the challenges, there are some really exciting trends shaping the future here. One of the biggest, maybe most transformative, is AI. Artificial intelligence and machine learning getting integrated into predictive tax analytics. We're seeing these technologies used to spot compliance risks earlier, forecast tax liabilities much more accurately, even automate parts of resolving disputes.
The impact is, well, it's potentially huge. AI isn't just finding errors after the fact. Think about it finding, say, dormant tax credits buried in complex supply chains, things human analysts might miss. That turns compliance from just a cost into maybe even a profit driver. What's really fascinating, I think, is AI's ability to model multiple regulatory changes across dozens of countries simultaneously. That gives businesses real-time insights for things like structuring global expansion optimally. That was just impossible before, with human analysis alone.
Wow. Okay, beyond AI, there's also that clear acceleration towards cloud-based platforms, scalable ones, especially for the big multinationals.
Oh, absolutely. The cloud advantages are just too strong to ignore for many. You get remote access, which is huge now, lower IT costs, real-time updates critical with changing regulations, and that seamless ability to scale up or down. It's not just about modernizing the tax department. It's enabling genuine, centralized control across global operations. That's incredibly powerful for complex organizations.
And finally, there's this really interesting newer trend emerging: tax tech getting involved in ESG reporting, environmental, social governance, and carbon compliance.
Yes, that's a fascinating convergence. As countries bring in green taxes, carbon pricing, incentives for sustainability, tax platforms are adapting. They're starting to track things like carbon credits, environmental levies, various sustainability incentives. So it's not just about paying the right tax anymore. It's linking tax strategy directly to the company's wider ESG goals. It allows them to potentially capitalize on environmental policies too. It's becoming quite strategic.
What a deep dive indeed. So it's clear, isn't it? The tax management market is going through this massive transformation. You've got innovation, you've got regulation, driving both incredible opportunities and, well, significant challenges for businesses everywhere. So to answer that opening question, the tax headaches, maybe not over, but definitely changing shape.
Yeah.
Fundamentally.
Yeah, I agree. And as companies keep digitizing, keep going global, the role of smart tax technology, it's just going to become even more central.
Yeah.
More integral to compliance, yes, but also to efficiency. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's really about much more than just taxes. It's about the future of how businesses operate, how they innovate, how they position themselves globally.
Exactly. So for you, our listener, here's a thought to mull over. How might this increasing precision, this strategic integration of tax tech, soon let companies factor tax implications into almost every single decision? From product design, supply chains, market entry, even M&A. Could it fundamentally reshape global economic strategy? Something to think about. Until next time on The Deep Dive.